The Fantastic Four are the foundation of Marvel Comics in many ways. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, the Thing. Four explorers given incredible powers when hit by cosmic radiation while trying to explore the galaxy. The dichotomy of four fallible heroes who try to balance their flawed relationships with one another against adventures that would take them to every corner of the universe would not only bring success to Marvel, but inform the approach that would define the iconic characters that soon followed. As writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby steadily introduced many more heroes, villains, and locations in the stories that would follow their 1961 debut, the scope of Fantastic Four would turn the burgeoning Marvel Universe into a fertile environment for the imaginations that would follow. It's this ever-evolving concept propelled by the duo of Kirby and Lee that led to the team's most ambitious storyline together on the title, and one that would spark decades of cosmos-spanning stories to come: the Galactus Trilogy, which would be brought to life across 3 issues spanning Fantastic Four numbers 48, 49, and 50 in the year 1966. Embodying some of the most mythical concepts used by the duo to date, this trilogy of issues is the foundation of Marvel's cosmic adventures, and its central ideas inform everything from comics such as the Infinity Gauntlet, the Kree-Skrull War, and Annihilation, to the recent Avengers Infinity War. But for a story that is a cornerstone of the Marvel Universe, readers may be surprised by the fast, economical storytelling mechanics employed by Kirby and Lee. These brief issues may seem fast and light when compared to the modern-day bombast of superhero stories, but the creativity and unforgettable moments seen here have influenced generations. Issue number 48, The Coming of Galactus, wraps up a multi-issue arc that saw the FF fight against Maximus the Mad alongside the Inhuman royal family. It may seem odd that the first half of the 3-issue arc would almost entirely devote its pages to the conclusion of another story, but this was a storytelling method that Kirby and Lee would employ frequently during their time on the title, wrapping up one thread while rolling into the next without the boundaries of individual issues. It's a technique that is rarely employed today, as most writers would place the climax of their story at the end of an issue and mostly wait until the next to officially begin the following story. But the rules of comic book storytelling are fast and flexible, and this is most certainly the case in the 1960s and the early days of Marvel, where the Silver Age superhero story was still in its infancy. Cutting away from the recovering heroes, Kirby and Lee track a shining figure slicing through the cosmos. It's the Silver Surfer in his first appearance, with this mysterious being slowly given gravitas and mystery through Lee's captions and the fearful reactions of the nearby Skrull Empire, who hide their homeworld from the passing explorer. It is through this ominous sense of doom that the creators set up both reader and unsuspecting protagonists for the battle to come. The arrival of the Silver Surfer in the pages of Fantastic Four number 48 is likely the best time for us to broach the subject of authorship and creative control regarding the stories co-created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, as well as the idea of the Marvel method of writing. At the start of their partnership together, these two titans within comics history established the Marvel method. In this form of storytelling, the writer, in this case Lee, would give a broad outline to the artist, Kirby in the case of Fantastic Four. The artist would then proceed to draw the 20-something pages that would compose a comic, setting the pace of action and story beats based on the outline. Once finished, the writer would add dialogue and captions as needed. However, that outline could range from multiple pages of written narrative to merely a quick conversation between the two creators. In the decades that followed, Kirby and Lee would speak about the Galactus Trilogy many times, with each giving varying accounts of their process. But what is clear from both men is that the Silver Surfer is purely a Kirby creation. When asked about the story and its almost biblical elements, Kirby once said, "I came up with Galactus." And of course, the Silver Surfer is the fallen angel. They were figures that had never been used before in comics. They were above mythic figures, and of course, they were the first gods. This means that not only was Kirby highly instrumental in the many plot elements of number 48, but also in the story that would develop across the following 2 issues, as the Surfer would be the linchpin of the trilogy's dramatic turns and thematic elements. It's clear that Kirby is the co-plotter of Fantastic Four, with his page-by-page story development dictating the dramatic pace of the Galactus Trilogy, and Lee filling out the details and character dialogue. We can even see Lee reacting to and commenting on Kirby's storytelling decisions through his captions. It's an intriguing look into the collaborative and even competitive dynamic of the two men, playing out for readers to clearly see if they are aware of the behind-the-scenes partnership and its approach to storytelling. Lee also had great love for the character of Silver Surfer, not allowing anyone else to write him for many years, and even creating the Surfer's own series in 1968 with artist John Buscema, a decision that further alienated Kirby. The vagaries of the Lee and Kirby dynamic have sparked many discussions in the decades since they created the foundation of Marvel, and the debate regarding creation, credit, and ownership clearly extended to their partnership, which would deteriorate over the years, with Kirby leaving Fantastic Four after issue number 102 and Marvel altogether in 1970. Even though he would return in 1975 after some time at DC Comics, Kirby would leave the publisher permanently in 1978. But back to the story at hand. The imminent arrival of the Surfer leads to the Watcher attempting to hide the Earth. But it isn't the Surfer who should worry the Fantastic Four, it is the being who he serves as herald, Galactus. And despite the Watcher's best efforts, the Surfer finds Earth and sends a beacon to his master, although Ben knocks the alien off the building that he had landed on. Even before we lay eyes on him, we learn that Galactus is an all-powerful devourer of worlds, traveling across the cosmos and consuming the energy of the planets found by the Surfer, which gives him sustenance for eternal life. The arrival of Galactus is displayed in a full-page splash panel, with his spaceship unfolding through a photo collage created by Kirby, showcasing the grand scale of the story and its massive stakes. It's a technique that would be used off and on by the artist over the years, most often to display cosmic settings and contrast his characters against a humongous background. The display gives way to the unveiling of Galactus, who had previously gone unseen, and he's red and green with a giant G on his chest. It's not the typical style for the World Eater familiar to most readers who have seen the character across the decades, but the rest of the iconic look is intact. Giant horned helmet, massive stature, classic Kirby blend of high-tech and Greek dress, it's all here. And Galactus would soon adopt his purple coloring at the start of the next issue, with the design slightly changing once again in number 50 for its final classic look. Here, the near full-page image devoted to the character would leave readers on a cliffhanger. Issue 49, If This Be Doomsday, begins with a full-page spread devoted solely to the horrified reactions of the Fantastic Four upon finally seeing Galactus in all his terrible glory, followed by yet another full-page spread showing the Watcher and Galactus, two titans confronting one another over the fate of the Earth. For Kirby, an economical storyteller who would employ 4 to 8 panels per page on average for this series, no matter the scope of the story or size of the setting, the devotion of multiple full-page spreads to Galactus shows us the magnitude of the narrative. The FF are but insects compared to the might and power of Galactus, who views Earth and humanity as nothing but energy needed to live, not even a matter of good and evil. Again and again, this issue shows us how the Fantastic Four are powerless to stop Galactus, as the Titan assembles his machine to drain the Earth. While Ben, Reed, and Sue fight to slow the being down, their ineffectual efforts are contrasted against two concurrent storylines. The first sees the Human Torch teleported across space and time by the Watcher to retrieve the one weapon that could stop Galactus, while the other sees the Silver Surfer, reeling from Ben's attack, enter the apartment of Alicia Masters, blind sculptress and love interest of the Thing. These two show the extremes of Lee and Kirby's comic, with Torch exploring mind-bending worlds and Surfer making a human, emotional connection. With Johnny traveling through new dimensions, Kirby flexes his artistic muscles in ways that defined much of his comics career. We see his signature Kirby crackle underline the cosmic power that energizes both the Human Torch and Galactus, with his use of very few yet extremely bold colors drawing the eye to these moments and breaking up the flow of their respective pages. With Johnny encountering mind-boggling vistas such as the Mobius Strip space station, and journeying farther than any of the four had at that point, Lee underlines the potential toll of such a trip on the mind of the young man. Meanwhile, Surfer recuperates in Alicia Masters' apartment. Masters plays the classic role of a kind-hearted woman who reaches the heart of a beast, akin to something you would see in a sci-fi monster movie. While future stories would give Surfer a far more nuanced background, Here, he is merely a being without thought or care for the lives lost in service to his master. The intimate and detailed focus of Kirby's panels are a major contrast to the wide scope and bombast of most of the rest of the story. And as Master shows Surfer the value of humanity, he leaves to confront Galactus in an effort to spare the Earth. Issue number 50, The Startling Saga of the Silver Surfer, kicks off with the titanic clash between the Surfer and Galactus, with the new hero attacking the entity in an effort to stop the creation of his planet-destroying device, in a sequence filled to the brim with classic Kirby energy and iconic poses. But it's the return of Johnny and the weapon he has attained that will save the Earth. It's a tiny contraption called the Ultimate Nullifier, and when Reed threatens to use it against Galactus, the World Eater ends his attack. If used, the Nullifier will destroy the universe, depriving Galactus of energy and eventually life, forcing the being into a stalemate. It's really quite the Deus Ex Machina, as few details had been said about the weapon prior to its introduction here. However, the quest to retrieve it and the sacrifices made to stop Galactus give it more meaning and weight than the typical last-second save. Nevertheless, the resolution to the story is swift, with Galactus vowing to not destroy Earth and leaving, but not before he removes the Surfer's ability to travel through space, confining him to the planet he betrayed Galactus to save. And just like that, the World Eater is gone, disappearing in a burst of energy that leaves both the Fantastic Four and the general public unsure of what they have just experienced. Like issue 48, 50 switches its narrative focus before the end, with Galactus being defeated by page 14, and the following 7 devoted to the fallout of the battle and the various elements of human drama that would inform the issues to follow. For all its cosmic sweep, the Galactus Trilogy is really a brilliant piece of economical storytelling, and while the story may take place across 3 issues with 21 pages each, the main narrative is really only 2 issues worth of pages. As comics would evolve over the years, so would the use of decompressed storytelling. A narrative of this size would likely be spread across at least 6 full-sized issues, or even the subject of an event miniseries, as Marvel has shown they so love to do these days, sometimes to their own detriment. The cosmic side of Marvel would continue to expand in the following years through the stories created by Kirby and Lee, as well as their successors, found in everyone from Jim Starlin to Abnett and Lanning to John Byrne to Jonathan Hickman, who would use the central, mythical conflict of Galactus, the Silver Surfer, and the Fantastic Four as the springboard to many more grandiose tales. But it wouldn't be just Marvel who would feel the impact of the Galactus Trilogy. Kirby would take his love for the intergalactic and mind-bending to DC Comics in the years to follow, creating the new gods through his Fourth World saga and imbuing it with the love for epic struggles over the fate of the universe seen here, as well as his creation of the Eternals upon his return to Marvel. But it all started here, with a tale that would embody the unbridled imagination of comic books, and the dynamic partnership of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.